I'm Allison. Thanks for joining me for Where I'm From 110. Blair is joining me today. And what have you been reading? I read this really beautiful book, What We Carry by Maya Schonbog Lang. And I matched the book, which was not planned, but look at this. It centers around her relationship with her mother, who the first half of the book is very much about. Second half starts to unpack um, the reality of that relationship. And I just thought, oh, here she is. Hi, Blair.
Hi.
How are you? So good to see you.
It's so good to be here with you.
When I was writing the little thing, I'm like, we haven't met. I feel like we've met, but we haven't met.
Living
So
in the same
I know.
city, I've gone to parks because of your recommendation.
Yes, one of these days we have to take an actual hike together. Los Angeles is a big place,
It,
and sometimes it's a little. And you're newer to Los Angeles, is that right, or am I making that
you're
up?
not
Okay.
making it up at all, but as the years go on, I don't feel as new anymore. We moved out in 2020 just before
Oh wow,
lockdown.
wow. It was not a terrible place to be in lockdown, I will say.
I was part of why we moved here. It was so great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The space being outside, it made it a much
exactly.
survival, well, amenable, whatever, some word, better situation. Um, well, I'm so glad you're here. Do you
Me
want to
too.
just launch into your poem, or is there anything you want to say? Hello, dogs.
That's
How
Vanna
are you?
White, my
Yes.
noisy American Eskimo.
Do they
So
know when you're wanting them to be quiet? Because sometimes I feel like my dog
I
does,
think
and it's
she
like,
wants to read her own poem. I'm gonna have to talk to her about
if
that.
only that were possible, I would be here for it. If there was a way to decode dog language and hear their perceptions of where they're from, I would be first person there to hear it. But
It's so funny. I was like, oh, I'm so down for that. But then I thought, I'm not sure if I want to hear her where I'm from, all about me.
it might be very centered on smells and foods, and but I'd be curious. I would. It might get tired. I don't
It
know
could.
if the dogs would get repetitive, but I'd give it a try. So, anything you'd like to say, or before you read your poem?
No, I have a title for my poem. It's called Native New Yorker.
Okay.
And I'll start.
Okay, we're ready.
I am from a tall building with vast views of a dirty river and bridges that twinkled into the night. From elevators that smelled of pepperoni and Chinese takeout, where I avoided eye contact with nosy briefcase carrying neighbors, and from brightly lit hallways where stereos and shards of family life like dogs barking and shouts of, I'm in the kitchen, echoed from behind closed doors. I am from Carl Schultz Park, where I once laid down my brand new purple banana seat bike that had a bell and a basket with plastic flowers, to play Charlie's Angels with a neighbor by the rocks. When we were done, our bikes were gone. I am from a mother who reamed me out because she was from Brooklyn, where that kind of carelessness was sheer stupidity, who told me with piercing tones and gritted teeth that if my head weren't attached to my shoulders, I'd lose it. And from a father who didn't say anything, but who I knew felt bad for me. I'm from parents who worshiped at the altar of arts and leisure, where restaurants were communion, museums, reliquaries, and theater, especially for me, transcendent. Although we did sit and stand and sit again at long Yom Kippur services in high-ceilinged synagogues where I kicked my hungry legs up and down for a better view of my pretty patent leather Mary Janes. I'm from transportation, the M15 bus to acting school alone at age 9, the subways at 13, and later taxis to nightclubs with long lines that snaked down the street where I smoked and did coke in a bathroom off the jacket of a Lionel Richie album. I'm from shopping at Loehmann's, discount, not Bloomie's, because aesthetics mattered. And I felt heavy with the hollowness of striving. My privilege gave me freedom from one kind of hunger only to fuel another, a yearning for nurturing that fermented into depression. Oh, the good fortune to be from a city with good therapy, to which I always arrived early and giggled at the New Yorker comics while waiting to be shrunk.
Wonderful. And I see all your friends sending you messages. Do you see them?
I
They're here.
know, it's so
Yes, it
sweet.
is really
Thank you
sweet.
for being here with me. I feel so loved.
It's really lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. What a beautiful poem, and what a strong sense of place, obviously, of New York. And so, what was it like for you writing this poem?
Oh my God, it was so fun to go back into the building
Mm-hmm.
and to just remember what it was like to be across the street from Carl Schurz Park, where I spent so much time. And just to be able to, like, there was so much I wanted to say about the city, but I realized that some of my experiences said it. Like, I grew up in a time where I would take the bus at 9 by myself.
Yeah.
That's not really how things happen these days.
Yeah.
The fact that my bikes got stolen, that was the crime back then. It was, I like my Mary Janes too. Thank you, Cheryl. Temple was really never my thing. That came through. It's a better way of saying I was a Jewish New Yorker.
Right.
The fact that I went to Temple and didn't like it. So yeah, the exercise was so fun in a way to revisit growing up in the city, and how different in a way it is. Like, I forget that it's a very different experience to be from a big city.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I was from the suburbs. I grew up in Orange County. It's a very different than experience my children are having growing up in Los Angeles. And I think it kind of gets idealized, just like country childhood. Like we have these sort of in between. I feel like the country and the city get idealized, the suburbs get shit on for obvious reasons. I'm not saying the suburbs don't deserve it, but there's kind of this like the independence you talk about, the freedom, in the country, it's the freedom of nature and all the experiences you can have. But in the city, it's about this freedom to experience theater and food and community. And I think this entree into a larger world that you're not even realizing it just is. It's not an entree, it's existence, which is incredible at an early age to know that there's not one way to live your life. Hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And agency was very powerful. Not having to rely on a car is a really different way of being in the world.
Yes. And was the bike a Schwinn bike? Because I had a pink banana seat bike and there was a purple one. And that was a really difficult decision for me to choose between the pink and the purple banana seat bike. It was like, this is a defining moment in my life. What do I choose?
I don't know. I just saw that Jackie Gorlick joined, and I bet she had a banana seat bike too. Then the choice between pink and purple, which was really hard then, because pink and purple were the colors.
Yeah. They also had a blue one, which I found laughable. I was like, who picks that one? I mean, like, especially myself, I grew up with 4 brothers. So I really clung to anything that was uniquely mine and female. So blue was like, get that out of here.
Forget that.
Yeah. And having your bike stolen is it's sad. It's upsetting. It feels like a real invasion. Like that is your source of independence, like we're talking about.
That's right. And also, that was such a city thing. Like, I think, when I did visit my friends in the suburbs, we just laid the bikes down and went on to something else. Mm-hmm. So not thinking that just doing that would put me and my new bike at risk. Jackie says, pink baby. I don't know. Sorry. That purple was so hot.
It was a beautiful color.
And did your basket have the plastic flowers too?
Yes, I think the seed had flowers on it.
Oh my
My seat
My
did.
seat did not have
So
that.
that was, I think I know what bike you had. I was really into this, obviously, because I still remember it so well. I know what bike you're talking about, but the purple was very saturated. It was not lavender.
No,
It was
it
purple.
was serious
Yeah, it
purple.
was
Yeah, it had a
regal.
sparkle.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, and it was sparkly. Yeah, anyway.
Thank
I do think the
you.
bike thing is a big difference between city and
Yeah,
suburbia still.
yeah,
Like even here, you lock a bike up and that's no guarantee
right.
that it will be
That's
there when
right.
you get back.
No, I had a friend and they just took the bike lock
Yeah,
apart and they
yeah,
left
it
her
just
the
happened to
little
us.
pieces on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm laughing because it hurts. Because it happened to us not long ago. And you go, much like when you get a car stolen, you go to the place where it should be and it's not, and it dawns on you. It's gone.
Mm,
Um, Regal bike, yes. And
I
the flowers on the seat.
still knew.
Oh,
Yes,
so good.
the plastic flowers. That was so much fun. I love that you do this.
Thank you. I love doing it. It feels like a time I set aside each week to think about memory, which is important to all of us. But I feel like I spend a decent amount of my time thinking about memory and how it shapes who we are now. And I love having this poem as a way to acknowledge where we're from builds who we are still, no matter the choices we've made and the paths we've taken. Where we're from is still a part of who we are now.
Forever and
Yeah.
always.
So any other thoughts about like, was it like you, I was interested in what you had to say about the temptation to kind of talk about where you're from, but then you just got into the details and you realized those were telling the story for you. I do think that's one of the most powerful things about this prompt. It teaches us in real time that concrete, specific details are the way.
I agree.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Yeah, it's something that you keep in your mind as a writer, but it's so easy to stray from.
it is. I think listening to these poems has really helped my writing
I bet.
for sure.
I
Because
bet.
I never listen to someone's poem and go, what a boring detail. I didn't want to know that,
Right.
you know? So was
Yeah.
there anything that you wanted to say that you wanted to acknowledge about where you're from that you found a hard time working in, or did you find that it was pretty organic?
No, there were a few things that I cut out, and one thing that'll be fun to add here, which is that we had a pool on top of the building.
Oh wow, that's
And
epic.
I spent like pretty much like all my free time up there when it was the summer. And we did really I mean, I'll never forget, first of all, the soda machine was like a god. And it had knee-high grape, and that was my favorite.
Wow.
But sometimes they were out of it, and I had to get RC,
Mm-hmm.
which was the inferior color,
And
really,
it's
RC color.
not purple.
No,
I sense a
exactly,
theme, Blair.
exactly. There was a serious thing, but then we did shit like we threw food that we didn't want
Yes.
off of the roof onto people
And
on
how
their
tall was the building?
sunbathing
You
on
said
their
at the beginning of the
terraces.
poem, but let's circle back. How tall was the poem? You told us. I mean, the poem, the building.
I just said it was a tall building,
Okay, but how
but
many
I
stories
think
was
we
it?
had 21
Okay.
floors and then a penthouse floor.
I mean,
And
that's
so
a distance.
it was a
Did
distance.
anyone ever look up at you and curse you
Oh
out?
yeah, we got in trouble.
I understand that temptation for
So
sure.
yeah.
Um,
So that was a fun detail that it just became cumbersome, but I'm glad that you let me tell it.
yeah, I love also the thinking about what we remember, not just the sad parts, which is oftentimes what we remember, but also these kind of finding our wild selves, which I think childhood does a lot of that, right?
Well
Finding
said.
and
Yeah.
getting in touch with our wild selves. And I'm still trying to do that now,
Right? Great.
reclaim that person. Um,
I
it is
agree.
epic mischief.
Throwing food off a roof is epicness. It was epic, Jill. It was epic.
Yeah, I that to me very much seems like out of a movie too. The pool on the roof, the,
right?
yeah.
It was crazy. And like, just to bring back that time, and then we can move on from this.
We don't need to move
Like
on.
we used like Bain de Soleil, which was just like, I always
I
sung the
so
song in my head
remember.
when I put it
Oh
on
my
with the
God.
Saint-Tropez tan.
Yes, I
And there were,
still think of that
right?
song.
There were
Yes.
people, you still sing that song? And then there
Yes.
were people on the roof with the
Yes.
tinfoil
Yes.
reflectors. I mean, what we did to our skin,
Oh, I
I
know.
don't know.
But Bain de Soleil, brilliant advertising. I don't know who came up. I don't even know if it was French, the company, but it was selling you this adjacent to
That's
Frenchness.
right. That's right.
And I've actually written about it in an essay. I feel like every girl of that time of the 80s was like everything French seemed very sophisticated.
That's so true. That's
And
so
I loved anything that was French adjacent. I took French as a language, even though my mom was like, "Take Spanish. You live in California. It'll be much more useful." No,
no.
I'm taking French. Okay, not that useful. But yes, Ben Soleil, the very tan woman in the ads with the enormous hat and her white bikini burned into my memory. Ben de
And then, of
Soleil.
course, the song.
Yes.
Bain de Soleil for the Saint-Tropez.
I didn't even know where Saint Tropez was, but I was in. It's like Saint Tropez. That sounds great. Where's that? Um, yes, Ben de
Yeah.
Soleil. Yeah.
So yeah, that was really fun going back to those
Mm-hmm.
those memories.
And did you put lemon in your hair or
Oh
sun
yeah.
in?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was a little later, but yes. Yes.
Yeah, I did a lot of lemon. My hair would be so crunchy. That's how I
And
would
baby
know.
oil, baby
I
oil
I never
too.
did that. I was the person who would wear like SPF 4 and think that was doing something. Like I'm protecting myself from the sun. This SPF 4 is going to do it. It's like we grew up in a era where the belief was that tan was okay, but just don't get sunburned.
Right.
And that was my guiding principle. So I was always like, well, I didn't get burned.
So
You
you
know,
did good.
right.
Right. Right.
Oh Lord. I look at pictures of myself like, oh honey. No. Um, so any other these are a lot of gems, Blair. You're really taking me back. Any other
I
um
love being from the
thoughts?
same era, and I love that some of the people on here were from that
Yes.
era, and we can remember. There's a lot online about Gen X, but it's something else when you really get into the details.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think a lot of the stuff online too is about a little bit older time.
True, true, and very, tropey,
Yeah.
people just wandered the streets and I mean, whatever.
The latchkey kid thing,
Parents
yeah.
never wanted to see you, those kinds of things, yeah. But
Yeah,
thank you,
that's
thank you
funny.
for the opportunity for this kind of deep dive into nostalgia. It was
Oh,
really,
you're welcome.
really.
It's funny you say that too, Blair, because I read those things periodically, like your Gen X, if whatever, and you read the list, and I think like, yeah. I mean, I all of these are true, but there's not enough Monchichi on there. Like, not enough jingles.
Not
Like
enough
you
jingles.
bring up Bain de Soleil, like they were so just oh. I remember them just as well as I remember Michael Jackson. I mean, they're
And
right there.
there are no jingles anymore, really, right?
No, I don't. We have local ones here. I don't
Okay.
know. Like, well, you're here. Tito's Tacos has a jingle. I don't know if you've heard it, but they definitely have
No.
a jingle.
Um,
And
I'm watching too much Hulu. Maybe you get more jingle on cable. I don't know.
radio.
Radio.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tito's Tacos and Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. I think they still have that. That was one from my childhood. It's a car lot, and it was a gimmick. Anybody from Southern California will know it. Cal Worthington, this dog Spot, he never had a dog, Blair. Spoiler, it was always an exotic animal. So that was a hilarious joke on local television in the 80s. He has a tiger! um, and I loved it. But yeah, there's no like Jolly Green Giant.
Oh my God. Did you see? No, I don't know if this is the last one I'll do because this is really priceless. But did you have Goya commercials or
No,
were they? Okay.
but my husband did.
Okay, they were very East Coast.
Yeah. So I also love all of that I think is a little bit harder to tease out now, the sort of local experience, because we
Yeah,
are much more connected and we are living in our our streams and our
that's true.
algorithms.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's funny though, sometimes we're a family of four, we will talk about what we're getting fed in our ads, like as a interesting conversation. What ads are you getting fed? And there, every once in a while there'll be overlap, but lots of times there's none.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
when we were kids, it was like we're all watching Ho 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 Green Giant. That's we're all gonna know, even though we weren't eating the products. So, any other last thoughts? 20 minutes flies by when you're
Flies
talking
by.
about Bain de Soleil.
No, I just want to thank you again. It was so much fun to
Thank
be
you.
here to talk about these things with you.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate your all you do, your writing, and I'm wishing you so much luck with your memoir because I want to read it, and I just feel like you have a lot of things you want to, that you're saying that I think are important. So I hope it finds a wonderful home. We all get to read it, cheer you on. Have you heard the Daisy Cottage cheese jingle?
Sing
Okay,
it.
I don't know. This is Bree. She's asking, have you heard the Daisy Cottage cheese jingle? Only Cottage cheese will do. I don't know that, but I do know that KF 101 plays over and over.
Oh,
That is a
Bree,
truth.
Bree is also in our area. She's a
Yeah.
Los Angelino. Yeah.
K Earth 101 is that one.
Yeah.
And it's good to know it's still there. I haven't heard it since my dentist stopped playing that.
I'm gonna look it up now, Bree.
Oh yeah. K Earth 101. That's a good one. Okay. Well,
All
thank you
right.
so much, Blair, and all of your friends.
Thank you,
If
my
any of
friend.
you if any of you want to join me, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. So have a lovely day and all the best.
Bye.
Bye.